The Total Drama series has introduced all kinds of iconic characters, concepts, and other forms of media that stay true to its name. The show has deemed itself to be one of Cartoon Network's most iconic series, and it's pretty easy to see why this is the case. Because of its huge amount of popularity and nostalgia gravitated towards the show, it's been recognized by all kinds of other shows and media. Now, don't get me wrong, Total Drama isn't in the level of popularity such as SpongeBob or Pokemon, and hasn't been directly referenced in any big show. But these were some bits and pieces of content that I found of Total Drama being in other shows. Again, I can't stress this enough, since I couldn't find a whole lot, some of these aren't direct references, but they're still pretty cool and probably even things that you haven't even noticed. To start things off, let's take a look at Fresh TV's sister show to Total Drama, 16. This was the first show from Fresh TV that really took off and gained its popularity. The show is actually 3 years older than Total Drama, with its first episode date being in 2004. And obviously, as most people know, 16 was written by the same people who worked on Total Drama. There was a specific reference to Total Drama in this show that I wanted to point out, and it's in the episode 241. Not 2 for 1 as in the 241st episode, but shut up, you get what I mean. There's a scene in this show where Caitlin and Jonesy are in a mall art gallery, and you can see a painting of Camp Wawanakwa. It doesn't look to be exactly Camp Wawanakwa, just one of the background islands on the surrounding map, but you can tell it is a specific background from Total Drama, and I think it's a really cool detail. It's a little funny seeing the Total Drama art style so casually in another show, where it looks completely different from everything else, but honestly, I'm here for it. There's another series made by Fresh TV known as Stoked, pretty similar to 16, that also got the Total Drama reference treatment. This reference is honestly even more interesting than the last. In the episode of Prank Too Far, we can see the character Andrew Bomber sitting in a restaurant type setting, more specifically the pirate ship restaurant in the Sunset Island Resort. And while he's waiting for his order, we can see the intro for Total Drama Action playing on the TV. A pretty cool and out of nowhere reference that they didn't need to do at all, but they still did anyway. So that kind of makes me wonder, if this is being played on a TV and Total Drama is a reality show in its universe, then are Stoked and Total Drama in the same universe, just like 16 and Total Drama are? Total Drama's made countless references to 16, so it's safe to say that they're in the same boat. So can the same be said about Total Drama and Stoked? Because in Total Drama Action, there were actually some promotions for Stoked, but they described it as a TV show where actors were playing all the characters. So what is going on here? Whatever, it's not important. It's not my business. I'll figure it out in another video. I'm gonna break out of the Fresh TV shows for a bit since, yeah, Total Drama has been referenced outside of Fresh TV. In fact, the next reference that I'm going to cover is going to be the biggest and most interesting one. But before I do that, I just want to encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, and my not subscribe to subscribe ratio is pretty pathetic. I have some other videos talking about Total Drama, so if you want to check those out, there's always a playlist available on my channel, as well as some Total Drama animation parodies that I've made on my animation channel and this channel. Please subscribe. I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. So the next reference we're going to be covering is going to be the biggest and most interesting one. But what show exactly are we looking at here? Well, you've either heard of it, seen it, or haven't seen it at all, but this show is Skatoony. The show Skatoony originally started off as a UK quiz show where kids could go and quiz against cartoons. It was essentially just a game show that made it seem like these kids were competing against real live cartoon characters. Since this was a whole UK thing that dated all the way back to 2001, oh geez. Whatever, the UK version may be the original and older version of the show, but it is irrelevant to this video and inferior to the North American version. Rah! Yeah, the UK original version of Skatoony was made in 2006, while the North American remake was made in 2010. But what does this have anything to do with Total Drama? Well, since this was a remake and the show was moved from Cartoon Network to Teletoon, there were some changes that were made to the show. Some of the cartoon contestants that the kids would compete against were changed to Total Drama characters in almost every episode. As a Total Drama fan, this is something really cool to see so casually in another show. This show was actually kind of what got me more interested in Total Drama in the first place, because Skatoony ended up being my favorite show as a kid. There's not a lot of people I can relate to with that because no one remembers the show's existence. In terms of who has been on the show, I'm just gonna go ahead and list who has been a contestant in an episode. Gear up and lock in because this is gonna be a pretty long list. Noah, Eva, Harold, Gwen, Bridget, Courtney, Ezekiel, Justin, Chris McLean, and every single Total Drama Revenge of the Island character. Yes, that even includes Stacy.
I am a mammal. Stacy.
Yes, you are.
There were also characters who made appearances on the show in 2 episodes, those being Owen, Izzy, Lashana, and Chef. Oh yeah, Katie and Sadie also had 2 episodes for some reason. Skatoony also had guest appearances featuring characters from the show Jimmy Two Shoes. Does that mean Total Drama and Jimmy Two Shoes are in the same universe? Watching what's basically extra content of Total Drama characters in a completely different show is really entertaining, and I highly recommend checking Skatoony out just for that reason. Yeah, some of these appearances are a lot less interesting than others, but even if you're a fan of a popular Total Drama character like Dawn, there's an entire episode where she competes in the show. There's also all kinds of cool references and Easter eggs to Total Drama outside of just the characters competing in the show. For example, Sierra makes an appearance in Skatoony in every single episode because she's always seen in the audience. And since Skatoony is also a game show, they ask plenty of questions that are references to Total Drama as well.
Chris McLean is the host of Total Drama Island.
Not to mention some of the other funny dialogue that references the show.
So the objective of the game is to
stay on the island without getting voted off or flown off in an air ambulance.
This is Skatoony, not Total Drama Island.
Why not sing along with me for lots of money?
Oh, and I'll dance along. No, I've heard about you dancing, and I've heard enough of Jesse's singing.
If you're a Total Drama fan, there's just a lot of fun things to check out in this show that involve Total Drama characters. I'll leave a linked playlist containing all the episodes, including the ones that were lost for a decade, in the description below for anyone who hasn't seen the show at all. Moving away from Skatoony, we're gonna take a look at 2 other animated shows that reference Duncan's skull. Obviously not his actual skull, just the skull that he wears on his shirt in his main character design. Duncan's actual skull probably looks like this. The thing about this design on Duncan's shirt is that it has appeared on other cartoon characters as well. The first one we're going to be taking a look at is Eric from Sidekick. It isn't the exact same design, but it's pretty clear to see that they use the same inspiration. Some people who worked on Total Drama also probably worked on Sidekick, so that can always be an explanation as well. The shows also share some of the same voice actors, and all of this can also be said about GarageBand, another animated show produced by Fresh TV. Not only can you see the skull in general all around the show, but Corey, one of the main characters, actually wears it on his hat. It's clear to see that these colors on Corey's hat match the same colors on Duncan's shirt. But wait, there's a third show that does this. Jesse, not that one, from the show Looped, has a similar shaped skull on his shirt as well. Now, I'm aware that these aren't the exact same designs, but it's clear to see that the original inspiration from them was Duncan's shirt. Out of all of these shows, Total Drama Island is the oldest. And considering most or all of these shows had the same people working on them, including voice actors, writers, and designers, it would make a lot of sense for this to be a little reference that they threw around in all of their shows. Total Drama background music is one thing that I don't think a lot of people have really paid attention to, but the show uses background music that is pretty unique to itself, most of it sounding very survival-esque and suspenseful-like. But you may have not noticed that some of Total Drama's background music that they use in multiple episodes has appeared in other very popular shows. I'm not saying that this background music only originated from Total Drama, but it's the first place I ever heard it in, and I only ever noticed other shows using the same background music after watching the show. Like, here's a pretty good example. This is a musical sound effect that plays in a lot of the episodes of Total Drama.
What are you looking at? Ugh.
And I ended up hearing this background music in shows that happen to be newer than Total Drama.
Leaping? Mom! They won't let me in their secrets club!
Lucy, she's gone!
I wasn't sure if this was like some sort of stock music that all cartoons had access to, but I don't remember ever hearing about a show older than Total Drama using this background music. Obviously, it isn't a direct reference, but it's just something really cool that I noticed. We also have the fact that Stoked uses a lot of the background music that Total Drama uses.
Now let's get those fake island golf playing Richies out of here and get our waves back.
That was always something really cool and neat that I noticed. Obviously, I'm probably gonna have to cover some of the more obvious references. Starting with Total Drama Rama, I mean, yeah, it's basically just a spin-off. I mean, I get that it's a completely different show, but this is still within the Total Drama franchise. However, this doesn't mean that Total Drama Rama doesn't have a lot of cool references to the original series. Things like all the scenes where they turn the baby characters back into their original forms. It was always cool to see them animating the characters like this again after we've been starved for And this probably happened a lot more often than you could imagine. And Total Dramarama was actually the last time we got to hear Chris's original voice. I could make an entirely separate video on all the times that Total Dramarama has referenced the original Total Drama series. It was pretty much the only thing that I really appreciated about the show, so I made sure to always keep an eye out for them. The other show that is an obvious reference to the Total Drama series as well is Disventure Camp. Yes, I know Disventure Camp is pretty much just a fan-made Total Drama thing, but it's gotten pretty big to where it's its own show now. Don't get me wrong, I still find it to be fan-made Total Drama content. It's just really good fan-made Total Drama content. Anyway, that's pretty much all I know and could find for this video. I know there might be more Total Drama references out there. I'd really like this video to do well, so let's try to get this video to about 200 likes. If there was anything that stood out to you that you may have seen that I might have missed, then let me know in the comments below and we can talk about it. That's gonna be all from me. Be sure to check out some of my other Total Drama discussion videos and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.